Hey guys, it's Yuki. So today I will be doing an unboxing and initial impressions of the Razer Viper Mini Signature Edition, as well as some comparisons with the mouse I've been mating for the last few months, the Finalmouse Tarik in medium, as well as some other mice I have on my desk here. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get straight into it. First, you're greeted with the letter by Razer. I'll just get out of the way. And we have the leather case with the Razer logo. I personally think it looks really cool, honestly. And it's very well made, I can tell just by holding it and picking it up. And I would hope so, just because this mouse is $280. But I will be talking about the price a little bit later in the video, so stay tuned for that. But let's just open it up really quick. So here you are greeted with the Viper Mini Signature Edition, as well as the plaque that it comes with. But leaving the case aside, I'll take out the mouse so we can talk about its design. And I understand that a lot of people really dislike the holes in the mouse, especially like how many there are. You can see they run all the way down the body to the bottom of the hump here. But at least for me, they were a big part of actually why I decided to buy this mouse. I think the design just looks really sleek, really futuristic. I love how they're calling this their magnesium exoskeleton. I think it's so fitting. Um, but yeah, it's completely made of magnesium except for the bottom, obviously, for wireless connectivity. And the metal scroll wheel as well. I think the color matches really nicely here. And their Razer text over here is, I believe, the exact same color as the scroll wheel is what it looks like. I think I just like the whole thing. I just think is so appealing. It's like right in line with my aesthetic, I feel like. But yeah, let's talk about the really big and important thing, and that's the build quality. So I watched quite a few reviews, obviously, before I decided to buy this, and the two that stuck out to me were the ones by Boardsy and the one by Bad Seed Tech. So Boardsy got, I would say, really unlucky. This was back when they first released with the numbered variants. His side buttons were just so bad. Like, okay, mine here, if I just press and hold down and rock my thumb back and forth, you can see that there's definitely wobble, which sucks, honestly, but it's nowhere near as bad as his. His look like they could fall out at any moment. And then also, that's not the only thing. On his copy, mouse 1 and 2, he could like, if he just like didn't click directly down and he clicked off to the side here and he wobbled it like this, he could get some like grinding sounds and it just didn't sound great at all. It sounded very bad. But luckily on my unit, I don't have any of those issues. And as far as Bad Seed Tech goes, besides the side button wobble, which seems to have plagued every single unit, I have no clue how they still like not fixed that issue. But his M1 and 2 were actually not perfectly like lined up, like at the top here. On my copy, I don't know if you can tell in the webcam footage that I'm using, but mine are perfectly level. So I at least have that, which is good. But everything outside of those things specifically, the rest of the mouse feels 110%. It feels amazing in the hand. Like, just like the fact that it's made completely of magnesium means that there's no flex whatsoever. Like, I could squeeze as hard as I want and, it just would not budge. So, at least for my unit, the build quality is very up to par, and I'd say that I'm very happy with the overall build quality. But next, let's talk about the shape and the feel. So let me move these over a little bit, my Finalmouse 10s here in the small. This is definitely the most comparable mouse I have to this one, just because I don't own a lot of very small, lightweight mouse. The next runner-up would definitely be the Finalmouse Tarik here, which is what I've been mating the last few months. So I'll just push these two over really quick. As far as this shape goes, I would say for my hands are 19.5 by 11. It's perfect for claw grip. The hump just like sits so nicely at the bottom of my palm, and then my fingers can rest so nicely on the mouse. Um, but for fingertip, it's not super comfortable for long sessions just because the sides are like pretty flat. Like there is a bit of a curve inward, but it's not noticeable. So for long sessions, like upwards of like 3 to 4 hours, I definitely can't fingertip grip this mouse. But on the Viper Mini, obviously, because the grooves are so much deeper on these sides, it's so comfortable and it's so natural for my hands to just like sit in a fingertip position when I go to pick up the mouse. I myself fingertip grip with basically my pinky finger and ring finger touching, and this mouse just does that perfectly. The Starlight 10s is also, very flat just because I also use the grip tapes here. But still, this is more comfortable to fingertip grip than this one, I would say, just because of the form factor. This is actually slightly heavier than the Tarik. So in ordering, the heaviest is actually the Signature Edition here at 49 grams, and then the 10s at 42 grams, maybe 43 just because like I stuck both the grip tapes on. And then the Tarik is the lightest at 38 because it's made of the carbon fiber composite material. But honestly, it's probably because I'm on a glass pad, but I definitely don't notice the weight of the Viper Mini Signature Edition, even though it's 11 grams heavier than the Tarik, which I've been using for the last little while. Um, I think maybe with the way they've distributed the weight, or the fact I'm obviously on a glass pad and it's low friction already, the extra 11 grams is just not noticeable at all. I personally think any mouse that's around the 50-gram mark, maybe even 60, I'll include the G Pro Superlight, it's pretty hard to notice any changes like actually, um unless you get to below maybe 30 grams, which would be the M2K Zonic, I think it's called, and then Optimum Tech's Zero mouse. But yeah, anyways, got a little sidetrack here. Let's talk about the grip styles. So, like I said, this mouse for me feels really natural to just fingertip grip. But, even though I have larger hands, I would say it's not uncomfortable to claw grip at all. You can see, I could definitely see myself claw gripping this mouse depending on the game. But what I will mention is, if you have a little bit of meat on your hands, you will definitely notice them just sink into the bottom cutouts here, near the bottom of the hump. It's just even though my hands are relatively skinny, I can just feel them, like feel the back of my palm. They're just like going into the cutout there. It's not uncomfortable per se, but definitely more noticeable than what I have here on the Tarik, just because even though it's a complete honeycomb shell, the holes are so small that it's just not noticeable at all. But the coating, I was actually a little bit worried just because like the coating on my tens here, the sides were very slippery for me initially, and I just like couldn't get used to it, hence why I'm using the grip tape now. But for this one, it actually feels like really nice. Like it's surprisingly like not sticky, but it feels like a brushed finish almost, and I can get a very nice grip. I myself have like pretty like dry hands, so like that's something I'm usually worried about. I was kind of worried I'd have to use grips for this mouse, and I don't want to take away from the design, like I said, because I just love the way it looks, like the magnesium shell. So I'm glad the coating definitely feels um, perfect for my hands. It's definitely similar to the Tarik coating, a bit grippier actually. Now that I'm holding it again, the Tarik grip is definitely more rubberized. I would say this is just like I said, a brushed finish. But the coating, I would give a 10 out of 10 for my hands. Next, let's talk about the switches. So these are Razer's optical switches, and even though I would say they're heavier than the Huano Blue Shell Pink Dots in my Tarik here, because of like the way they tensioned, I think, or maybe because of the magnesium shell, they are very light, very spammable, and the sound is just like really awesome. I wish I could give you a close up, but unfortunately, my mic will probably not pick it up. So maybe in the future, but yeah, these switches feel really nice, really light and spammable. And I don't think I've talked about the scroll wheel yet, but the scroll wheel click is also very light, but not to the point where I think if I go to scroll, I would accidentally hit it, which is a kind of really annoying thing that I've had with some previous mice because it was just like way too light of a click. But yeah, since I brought up the scroll wheel, let's talk about that next. It is an all metal scroll wheel, and as far as the scrolling goes, it's very light, but the stepping is very pronounced. So I feel like I can be really precise. And then, like I said, the click is light, the mouse wheel click, but definitely for me personally will not get in the way when I play games. And then the last thing I want to talk about here before I wrap things up is the battery life. So obviously, this is an unboxing video, so I haven't gotten a chance to play test it yet. But what I will say is that I saw from Boardsy as well as Bad Seed Tech, their battery life ranged between like 1 and 3 days, I think, was on the higher end for Boardsy on 4K hertz. And that was with the old firmware. I've heard with the new firmware that allows this mouse to be used with 8K polling, the 4K battery life got better as well, obviously. So you may be able to see a few days of use before you have to charge on 4K at least. 8K, I think you'll have to charge it like maybe every other day if you're lucky. But for how much I play, I think if I used 8K, I'd have to charge it every single day, which isn't a big deal because this mouse does come with fast charging. But again, I don't think 8K polling is particularly worth it. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think 4K is really even worth it either. And this is coming from somebody that has a 240 hertz monitor. So I feel like I should be able to take advantage of higher polling rates. Um, I've heard some people say you kind of need 360 to fully take advantage of it, but like at the end of the day, it's not going to make you a better aimer. But yeah, that about wraps up what I wanted to talk about here. I will probably be making a updated video in about a month's time. just to sort of, do my actual long-term review and see if the mouse is still holding up well. I can only hope because again, $280 is, to say, too much money for a mouse, honestly. In the grand scheme of things, $280 could get you a top of the line mouse, like for example, the Razer Viper V3 Pro, as well as an artisan mouse pad. And you might even have some money left over to pick up a pair of IEMs if you're so inclined. But, I won't harp on the price too much just because, we already knew it was like so expensive anyways. And I, again, am very happy with my purchase, even though I acknowledge that for this price, like it should be everything is perfect. But, you know, as a collector's item and as somebody who loves Razer as a brand, I honestly am very happy with this mouse. But yeah, that about wraps it up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I will see you in the next one. Peace.